This video is brought to you by America First Insight. Help support the growing conservative movement by becoming a member today. And if you want to support this channel, you can also use the code REAL when becoming a member. Thank you and enjoy the video. As everyone knows by now, we are getting closer to the 2026 midterm elections. And with that, in the next couple of months, there are very important primary elections across the board. And Politico put out this report a little while ago that claims that President Trump, as of now, again, anything could happen, but as of now, he has no plans to endorse in three critical Senate races, at least for the primary. And they're talking about Louisiana, Texas, and oddly enough, Maine, which is just weird that they included Maine, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The point is, the White House right now, they are staying away from these primaries. And it's upsetting some people because we're not talking about just some generic Republican that isn't really that bad. They're not really good. They're kind of just there. We're talking about Cassidy of Louisiana. All right. One of the worst Republicans by far. John Cornyn in Texas, who, to be fair, he has gotten significantly better in the last year. Now, to be honest, that's because he has a very competitive primary. He's trying to be seen as this true conservative and a MAGA patriot or whatever. But either way, you do got John Cornyn. He's been better, but still kind of crappy. And of course, Susan Collins. I don't think anyone really has a real problem with Collins. I know Trump put out that statement a couple days ago where he kind of said that Susan Collins should lose. But outside of that, Susan Collins has an excuse. We are talking about a fairly Democrat state in Maine. So it makes sense why she's more moderate. And even then, when we need her to vote one way, she does. So when we need her vote, she votes the way we need her to vote. So yeah, Trump right now has no plans to endorse against her, which it was Susan Collins, and is in no hurry to weigh in on the Texas and Louisiana GOP primaries, according to four people familiar with the White House is thinking. So yeah, they're saying right now, John Cornyn and Bill Cassidy, at least for now, Trump will not endorse against them. And this pissed a lot of people off. Like right here, David Giglio, who, listen, I have a lot of respect for Giglio. I think, he's a good guy. But basically he said they try to put Ken Paxton in jail over his support of Trump, but he has never wavered. What does he get in return? Nothing. Instead, Trump is going to stay out of the race because he might offend amnesty-loving, gun-grabbing rhino John Cornyn. When/if the GOP loses control of the House and or the Senate in the midterms, Trump is going to see just how disastrous his decision to purge Congress or elevate the Congress, his strongest allies, was. Yeah, so people like David Giglio and others, they're going batshit crazy right now because, yeah, this sounds stupid. Why on earth would Trump stay out of these primaries when it's clear the base wants to get rid of both these dumbasses? Because it's looking likely John Cornyn and Bill Cassidy, both of them are going down. It's looking very likely that both of them will lose their primaries. They're going to get crushed. It's going to be glorious, which, again, stuff can happen. But it looks like Ken Paxton will win the primary in Texas. Louisiana to be determined, but Bill Cassidy is hated by everybody there. So yeah, it's looking likely that both of these guys, unless Trump decides to save them, they're going down. So it's like, why isn't Trump trying to go after them right now? Why isn't Trump trying to put a final nail in the coffin? Well, Politico actually does explain this, at least the strategy behind it. Okay. According to them, the strategy behind not endorsing in these three races is that President Trump may still need their votes in the Senate, and the White House is invested in keeping a Republican majority, even if it's an imperfect one, according to three of those people. Though the president could change his mind and support a candidate via social media at a moment's notice. It's math and the fear of mutually assured destruction, one of the four people said. The president doesn't end their careers, and these senators don't end his congressional agenda. And this right here is why Trump is staying out of these races. Even though he hates Bill Cassidy for good reason. This dumbass voted for impeachment. He's been targeting RFK a bunch. This guy sucks. But let's face it. If Trump goes after Bill Cassidy and or John Cornyn, and let's just say they somehow win their primaries, they won't. Well, guess what? These two have no reason to even pretend to support Trump. Why would they? If Trump opposes both of them and they somehow win their primaries, guess what? They're going to vote no on every single thing for the next 4 years, or next couple of years, I should say. That's what's going to happen. And that's the issue here. So it's like, why would Trump directly get involved right now? The best thing for him right now is to stay out of both primaries, because it's looking like no matter what Trump says or does, it's looking like John Cornyn's screwed. He may take third place, for crying out loud. It's that bad. Bill Cassidy, he's going to get crushed. So why would you anger two people that no matter what happens, they're going to be in the Senate for the rest of the year? Why would you anger both of them and give them a reason to vote no on everything? Whether it's a new reconciliation bill, which we talked about yesterday, that fantastic bill that they're pushing, say goodbye to that, because they're going to vote no on every single thing Trump wants to screw him over. And that's the problem Trump has to deal with. And I'm not a big fan of this, but that's the issue with the current GOP majority. You have to deal with people like McConnell, Murkowski, Collins, that dumbass Curtis in Utah, Bill Cassidy, John Cornyn. Does nobody see the problem here? We don't have a 20-seat majority to work with. We're at 53 in the Senate. So yeah, you do got some room to work with, but you don't want to anger everybody. It just, that's the issue. And you got a very small House majority because Thomas Massie and for a while MTG, they were causing a big shitfest there. That's the issue. So if you want to pass something, which apparently David Gilio and others, they want Trump and Congress to pass something, how would you expect to get the votes for even this reconciliation package if Trump is going after Cassidy and John Cornyn? Seriously, how would they get the votes? Even if you nuke the filibuster, which it doesn't matter in that situation, it doesn't matter. They're going to vote no on it. And more than likely, there's going to be like Mitch McConnell and God knows who else that vote no. And there you go. You can't pass anything. You can't even pass that fantastic reconciliation bill that addresses nearly everything we've been complaining about for a year now. You can't even pass that. And America First Insight, which I know I'm a little bit biased here, but they bring up a really good point. Ken Paxton is already looking likely to win the race, and John Cornyn is a key vote on several committees. He's on the Finance and Foreign Relations committees, and he's also on the Budget Committee, which is vital to passing reconciliation. And Cornyn also chairs the Border Security and Immigration Subcommittee. In other words, John Cornyn has a bunch of power. He's on a bunch of top committees. He can kill any reconciliation bill if he really wants to. He is very important to passing that. Now, do you understand why Trump is so skeptical to go after people like John Cornyn? And I know people are going to say, but Thomas Massie, he's going after him. Here's the difference. Say what you will about John Cornyn and others. They've been causing some problems here and there, but most of the time, relatively speaking, if we need a yes vote on something, they're there. And at least at the bare minimum, they're willing to work with us on some issues. They're willing to work with President Trump and others. Thomas Massie and MTG, they were voting no on everything. Voting no on everything. They wouldn't even compromise. Don't let them fool you. They claim, oh, the Trump is pushing for purity tests. No, it was those two. Those two refuse to compromise on anything. Mike Johnson tried everything he can to work with those two, and they just said no. It's either they get everything they want or nobody gets anything. And another good point is look at Tom Tillis. Tom Tillis has become essentially a no vote on everything. Anything Trump does, it's a no. Because he was told to go fuck himself. So you got to deal with that, who's Tom Tillis already voting no on everything, plus Murkowski, plus Collins, and you got Rand Paul being a dumbass, Mitch McConnell, Todd Young, John Curtis. Gee, I wonder why Trump isn't going to go after John Cornyn. I wonder why. Paxton is also not getting nothing. A non-endorsement is far better than an endorsement of Cornyn, which seemed pretty likely. That's a good point. It's not like Trump is going to endorse John Cornyn. If he does, that's a huge problem. Like, no, don't endorse John Cornyn. Let him fight off Ken Paxton and others. Let him deal with it. Stay out of the race. So you don't piss off anybody. That's what Trump should do. And it looks like that's what more than likely he will do. This is politics. If we want the great second beautiful bill passed, Cornyn will need a vote on it. It sucks, but it's a cards that have been dealt. And that's why Trump right now is not really going after Cornyn. He's not going after people like a Bill Cassidy. Again, it's not the same set of circumstances like Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie was a vote, a no on everything. No matter what Trump does or says, it's an automatic no. Same thing with MTG. They were the ones refusing to compromise. That's a different story. Plus, in the House, they're only there for 2 years. They're only there for 2 years, and even if they somehow win the primary, you got 2 years later, you can go after them. For the Senate, meanwhile, nope. If you let these assholes win, guess what? They're there for 6 years. And they're going to be there as long as they want. It's a different set of circumstances. I know it's frustrating. We want him to go after John Cornyn, but really, Cornyn's going to lose. At this point, unless something crazy happens, he's going down, whether it's against Wesley Hunt or against Ken Paxton. Same thing with Bill Cassidy. If we stale these races completely and they still lose, why wouldn't you do that? Just stay out of them. It doesn't harm Trump in the Senate at all. In fact, it's a net win for him because he staled the race completely. And John Cornyn, he's not going to have this issue with Trump because he endorsed Ken Paxton or whatever. That's why he should stay out of these races completely for now. Could this change? Maybe. I think Bill Cassidy might be an exception, but still, with John Cornyn, he's going to lose. The Texas GOP, they're sick of this guy. They want to get rid of him. So yeah, people got to just start realizing we want people like we want people like John Cornyn and people like Bill Cassidy out of there. But you have to be smart. Because if you aren't, look at Tom Tillis. He was shit beforehand, but ever since Trump forced him out, which funny enough, these people never mentioned, he's been a no on everything. A no on every single issue. No matter what Trump says or does, it's a no. But that's why Trump is now saying, okay, let them win these primaries. I stay out of it. They're screwed. Because every time he endorses people like John Cornyn, they barely pull it off. And if Trump does endorse John Cornyn, that's a different story. Like, no, that's stupid. Stay out of these races completely. But if he stays out of these races and they go down, I don't see what the issue is. Seriously, what's the issue with what Trump's doing? He's trying to keep up this majority, and you can't do that if you just piss off the entire Senate. Same with the House, though. Again, it seems like they are more inclined to be working with Trump a little bit more because they only served 2 years. And yes, you do got Thomas Massie and MTG and like Don Bacon once in a while, but most of the time they're able to force through stuff somehow. Mike Johnson does that a lot. Again, some stuff does fail, but still, you got some room to work with kind of in the House with how it's set up and all that. But the Senate, though, kind of a different story, especially with John Cornyn. You're already down a couple people. You're already at 50-50, basically. So you can't really lose anybody else. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.